Welcome into the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview, proudly presented by Arkansas Tech University, D3 Auto Sales, and Metcalf Trucking and Trailer Repair. Today we're talking to Charleston Tiger head coach Ricky May. This Pigskin Preview is brought to you by Verkamp Construction.
Welcome back into the Hometown Sports Arkansas Football Preview, presented by the Arkansas Sports Network. And today I have another special guest. We've got Coach Ricky May of the Charleston Tigers. And Coach, it's good to have you on here, and looking forward to talking a little bit about the Charleston Tigers.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. So, Coach, let's look a little bit at what happened last year with the Tigers. You guys come off a state championship year, but you lost a big senior class and had to replace a lot of guys. We did the Elkins game last year that you guys had, and we said on the broadcast that you guys would be a better team by the time that October, November rolled around. I think that proved to be true.
Yes, sir. We, obviously in 2022, we had several seniors that contributed big. We knew we were going to have to play a lot of sophomores last year. It started off, though, in the Elkins game. We lost our two-way, probably our best lineman, Trevor Jones, to a torn ACL. And then the next week, we played Ozark, very first series on defense. Our stud guy, Reese Mariska, tears an abdominal muscle, so he's out for 4 to 5 weeks. And so we get to Nashville, and we're on offense, and we have 7 starters that week that were sophomores. And that's not a good place to be when you're playing Nashville. But our kids played their tail off and could have won the game. But anyway, so we start 0-3. Then we kind of got a little bit of moxie going, a little bit about us, kind of gotten into conference. Those 3 first non-conference games were extremely tough, and we knew that, there was a chance that we could possibly be 0-3 playing that many young kids, but we felt like that would definitely prepare us for later on. Got to week 5, was up 14-0 on Mansfield, and to play right before half, our quarterback breaks his wrist, and so then we go into our backup quarterback, who at the time was our leading receiver, so you lose your leading receiver because he goes to quarterback. And, so we had to, offense coordinator Matt Stewart did an awesome job adjusting our scheme to fit our quarterback. The guy that we'd had was definitely a good thrower. I think he had 1,200 yards first, 5.5 weeks and 12 touchdowns. And, the guy that was coming in was definitely a great backup to have, but he was more of a runner than he was passer. And, towards the end of the year, we kind of started playing a little better, defense was playing great. And then, we got into the game with Bismarck, and just, never been a part of a game like that where 3 straight possessions or three plays in a row, we lose the ball somehow, and we just couldn't recover.
Yeah, and that's tough. You dealt a little bit of a tough hand in 2023. Injuries are a part of football.
That's right.
And
That's right.
Unfortunately, sometimes it can tell the tale on a season.
That's right.
Sounds like a little bit of what happened with you guys. But we know that Charleston is a traditional power, a team that I know that a town, let's just say this, a town that takes a lot of pride in having a really good athletic program.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
In football is the crown jewel of that athletic program. So we know that Charleston is going to bounce back this year. Tell us a little bit about, before I get ahead of myself here, let's say this. Let's talk about your assistant coaches. I like to start the interview off with assistants because, those guys are guys that don't get a lot of
Yes,
run. They
that's
don't get
right.
a lot of attention, but I know they help make this thing work.
Great staff. I tell people all the time, they go above and beyond. I mean, I couldn't ask for better staff. Matt Stewart's our offensive coordinator, does an awesome job running, getting game plans together, calling plays. And like I said, last year in the middle of the game, he had to come in at halftime and figure out what we were going to do, to kind of change the way what we were doing. And then we have Tyler Reese, who's our special teams guy, and he coaches the secondary and the receivers and does an outstanding job. He's also our film guy that does all of that stuff that nobody else wants to do. Gets to the game early, sets up stuff, puts all the stuff online for the kids and the coaches, and can't say enough about him. And then Bryson May coaches our offense, defensive line, brings a lot of energy, a lot of fire, and all three guys are high character guys that don't get too wound up, pretty level headed all the way through, never got excited last year when the Bismarck game went the way it did. We all kept our head, kept our cool, knew that we still had a chance at the end of the game to win it and didn't, but at the end of the day, those guys really make the ship run.
You guys list spread as your offense. Tell us a little bit about what you do in that spread, because there's variations of spread
Yes, sir.
throughout the state.
Well, it's kind of odd because we do like to run the ball. The when you read the statistics, it talks about us basically being, close to 50-50. But obviously when our quarterback got hurt last year, we became a little more than 50-50. But we feel like, we try to breed toughness into our kids to where we can run the football, but yet at the same time, we feel like we're a good enough team that we can throw the ball when we need to, and just going into each week, everybody's different. You play. You may play somebody that tries to cover with 6 and gives you 5 in a box, and we want to run it. And if we play somebody that's going to load the box, and we're going to throw it, and that's the beauty of what the offense is, the beauty of what the coaching staff feels like is going to work. Like I said, Matt Stewart does a great job every week getting that together.
You're right. You show a 50 defense. Tell people a little bit about the 50. I think there are a lot of people that are familiar with 4-3 and they're familiar with 3-4. Tell them about 50.
Well, anybody that's been coaching 20 years or more, it's a 50. Anybody that's less than that, it's a 3-4. So it depends on how you say it. The reason we like that defense is because, traditionally we're not going to have just humongous kids on the interior. What that allows us to do is play about 9 kids that aren't big, 10 kids sometimes, and get more speed on the field. We feel like that's kind of where we're at. We've had a pretty good defense the last 2 years. 2022, everybody talked about how good our quarterback was and how good our offense was, and it was. We averaged 41 a game, but what people didn't realize is our defense gave up 8 a game. I had people tell me, if you didn't have that quarterback, you wouldn't have won. And I said, before you start talking bad about us, look at our defense, and we take a lot of pride in playing defense here, just like we do offense. And, we try to give people fits every week, give them a little different variation of what we do, but we don't get very far away from what we're doing.
So you list of your strengths that you've got a lot of returning underclassmen. Your weaknesses, you got depth as one of those weaknesses. Tell us a little bit about both of those things.
Well, like I said, unfortunately, we end up having to play a lot of sophomores last year, which is good and bad. It was bad last year. Most people tell you it's supposed to be better this year. So hopefully that pans out. Our senior class is going to have 5 kids in it, so we're not going to have a lot of depth there. Our sophomore class that's coming in, I think there's 10 of those guys. And they're not real big. They're not real fast, but they're really, really play hard. And so hopefully by the, kind of like last year, hopefully as the season goes on, we can develop a little more depth. We can kind of, get a few more in some good game situations to where if injuries do happen, we can kind of, pan out. I know Coach Stewart in our offensive installs this spring, I think he had maybe up to 5 kids that were learning the offense from quarterback position. And it was kind of funny. I kidded with him. He used to always, call them quarterbacks, but this year he called them throwers. And there is a difference.
Yeah,
There is a difference.
absolutely. I know something that you're not used to is you don't have any returning All-State players, but you do have some All-Conference players. David McCamey, you've got Emiliano Ganoa, or
Yes, sir.
is that how you say that?
It's Ganoa. It's let me think here. It's Gaona.
Gaona. Yes, that's right.
Gaona. Yes, sir.
Maddox Terry and Zane Donberger. I would assume that you probably expect one or two of those guys to step up and maybe become All-State type of guys.
Yes, sir. Like I said, last year we most of those guys are sophomores this past year. But at the same time, as the season went on, they got better. David McCamey is a guy that comes to practice every day, ready to go. Guy loves football. He's the defensive coordinator on the 6th grade team last year. Knows the game. Just plays extremely hard. I can't say anything more than that. I mean, you look at him. I'd love for him to be able to go to college somewhere and play. He has that desire, but he's about 5'8" and he weighs about 260, but he plays like he's bigger than that. Great leader on and off field. And then, Emiliano just brings so many facets to the game. He led our team on receiving yards, big plays. Last year, and in the 9th grade, he ended up having to play quarterback because our quarterback got dinged up there. Can play anywhere. We moved him to corner last year when our corner got hurt he was our starting strong safety last year. Just does everything you could ask a kid to do. And then Maddox Terry was our leading receiver on the year with catches. Played a great year, had a great year at outside linebacker, led our team in sacks. I think he was second on the team in tackles. Just had a great year, so we're just expecting those guys to stack on to what they did last year. They don't get excited. They just keep playing hard. They show up early every day. They work hard. And so, you can build something with those kind of guys. And then Zane Donberger last year was 165 pounds playing a nose man position as a sophomore. And if you ask him, he'll tell you the baddest dude around. And that's why he's playing the nose guard position. But he did put on about 30 pounds this year. So we're hoping that helps. Got a lot stronger. And so, can't ask more for that guy either.
So let's talk a little bit about your conference. I don't know that people talk about the 3A1 enough. You got Boonville and you guys, Mansfield. Those three right there are definitely threats to make it deeper into the playoffs. Lavaca, West Fork, Hackett, Greenland, and Cedarville. It is really an underrated conference throughout the state.
Yes, sir. And what's funny about it is the past 2 defending state champions have came out of that conference, and Boonville was a runner-up in 2022. So, and then last year, Mansfield ended up playing Prescott in the semifinals. So, people can say what they want to say. We kind of get bagged for a soft conference up here, but there's nothing soft about it. And I mean, I expect it to be the same way this year. It's going to come down to us three, I feel like, in the conference for sure. But the thing is about the conference, you can't count out Lavaca. You can't count out West Fork. West Fork the past 2 years, I think, has been our 6th seed out of our conference, or placed 6th. And 2022, we beat them 21-14 when we won the state championship. They played us better than anybody. I think, well, maybe it ended up being 28-14, but still. And then, last year. We had to fight our tail off to win the game last year. So, people can say what they want to say, but our conference is pretty tough. Hackett's coming off a year when they finished, I guess, fourth last year, and the only three people that beat them was us three, in the conference. And so there's a lot to be said for that, and I expect it to be the same this year. There's some really good young coaches in our conference, and then you got me and Rodney at West Fork, and we're kind of the old guys, but it's a really good conference.
Yeah, it definitely is an underrated conference, as you said. Definitely some playoff success over the last 2 seasons for sure. And then, of course, you and Boonville, you guys are always in it. Definitely toward the end of it here. Let's talk a little bit about your schedule here. Opening up with Pottsville. That's a game that you guys have played quite a bit over the last few years. In fact, I did a game a few years back. Pottsville and Charleston came down to the very last play of the ball game.
Yes, sir.
Ozark and Heavener, those are your other two conference or non-conference games.
Yes, sir. Pottsville, the reason we didn't play the last 2 years was because their conference had a 9 teams in it. So therefore they had an odd number. They only scheduled 2 games, and so they obviously had to play Darnell. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like us and Ozark playing. And so we were kind of the odd man out. We did scrimmage the last 2 years with them. Brian Rust and I actually played high school football together. We still go. We have a little group that we play golf with and hang out with, and so we kind of like it for that standpoint. I know if something happens and they get up on us big, they're not going to stick the knife in us, and we're going to do the same for them. And two, just 2 good high school programs that like to play football. And in Ozark, I love those guys over there, and they really like us. And, we like to play. It's always a big gate. I'm not in charge of anything like that, but I can understand why our admin wouldn't ever want us to quit playing. But, very, very much respect for both of those programs, the coaching staff in those programs, and what they do with their kids and what they get out of their kids. Both those programs get a lot more out of their kids than a normal program does. And then Heavener, I got to know Coach Broyles a little bit through some team camps in the summer, and got a lot of respect for those guys. And I think they had the same record we did last year. And, they had an open date. We had an open date, and I kind of felt like it'd be cool to play in Oklahoma school. The last few years we've tried to schedule an Oklahoma school, and, nobody had an opening. And so this was an opportunity for us, and I really respect Coach Broyles too, and what he does there. He's done a great job turning that program back around. And so we're pretty excited about our non-conference schedule. We don't try to schedule anybody that's not going to help us later on down the road. Doc Crowley and I at Boonville are really good friends, and our theories are, hey, we may start 0-3, but you're going to have to beat us somewhere in the conference, because that's going to help us later on, especially in the playoffs. You see those kind of caliber teams early on, and kind of shows you where you're at.
Well, I know your people are going to be chomping at the bit. You don't have a home game until September the 20th.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time that I can remember in 6 years that we've changed the conference schedule. The conference schedule had been the same. The conference coaches wanted to redraw, and because we redrew, we drew the 4-3 schedule in conference, and so therefore, we really only needed one home game to make it 5-5. And that's just kind of the way it worked out. I don't like that either. Our scrimmage is away. Our first 2 games are away, and people are probably going to hate me. One year Pottsville was getting turf put in, and we were scheduled to play there. So we played them here. And so we ended up having 6 home games that first year, and they loved it. But then the next year we played 4 away, and I was a bad guy. So if I can keep 5-5, now I got a leg to stand on. So
right. Well, I do know that we own the Pottsville stream, so they can see that online.
Gotcha.
So that'll that'll be there for them to at least be able to see it if they decide they don't want to make the trip.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Well, the
anyway,
good thing is everybody's within an hour and 15 minutes this year,
wow.
whereas last year we had to make that 3 hour and something trek down to Nashville. You
Yeah.
know, my assistant coach, he had never been to Nashville. And so I told our team, hey, you get down there, it's a different kind of thing. They got this big jumbo screen. They're going to have people everywhere. It's going to be different than anything you've ever seen. Because me being from Boonville and playing at Waldron, that
Mhm.
first year at Waldron in that conference, I'd been to Nashville too many times.
Yeah.
And so anyway, our assistant coach, we get back and he said, hey, we need to schedule them this cycle. I'm like, man, I don't want to drive 3 hours. We don't have to. And so anyway,
It's a long way down to Southwest Arkansas. We made
and
that
there's not a
trip.
good way to get there.
Yeah, that's
Anyway.
right. It's a long way to Murfreesboro. We did that
Yes, sir. Yes,
last
sir.
year, and it is a long way. Well, man, let me end with this. It will be a successful season at Charleston if.
Well, it's hard to say anything other than what we're shooting for, which is, we're shooting to be conference champs and to be state champs, and if we start shooting for anything less, then our programs took a step back, and we don't want to do that. Our goal is to be conference champions and give ourselves the best possible place we can be for the playoffs, and then the state championship is where we're about, and like I said, and we stop caring about those, then our program's taking a step back. Our kids know the expectations, and they wouldn't have it any other way either. I can promise you can ask any of our kids what their goal is, and they're going to say the state championship. And so, hopefully during that time we can make a difference in the community, because that's what we're really about long term is, making Charleston a better place to live. And if we can do that through football, then let us do it.
Well, I think that's a great answer. And, with the expectations, I talked to Doc over there at Boonville, same thing,
Yes, sir.
but, at the end of the day, only one wins. And at the end
That's
of
right.
the day, it's about making a difference in people's lives. And
Yes, sir.
Coach, I know you're doing that over there at Charleston. And I just want to say thank you for that. And I want to remind everybody that, you can watch more of this content right here on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you check us out. This is the Hometown Sports Arkansas football preview, and Coach Ricky May has joined me. Coach, I appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to talking with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us on the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Arkansas Sports Network on YouTube to catch more previews and all the latest updates on your favorite teams.